Yeah, just by existing, he's done enough to be the starting quarterback of the Patriots. No, I mean, he's the number 3 pick in the draft. You look around the league right now, Caleb Williams, number 1 pick, starting. Number 2 pick, Jaden Daniels, didn't play in the preseason finale last night for the Commanders because he's starting. Bo Nix, my guy with Denver, he's starting.
Is he your guy?
I like Bo Nix quite a bit.
Oh, man, I
like
didn't realize
him.
that.
Yeah,
Okay.
I liked him a lot coming out of the old Oregon. But J.J. McCarthy's hurt. Who knows? Maybe he would have started. Drake Maye should start. It's not like he's trying to beat out a perennial starter or even the incumbent starter. Jacoby Brissett is a journeyman backup quarterback. By all accounts, a great guy, right? Like, that's one of the first things you hear about Jacoby Brissett. Like, oh, what a great guy. But he hasn't played well. Like, that's the other part of this whole thing is I think Alex Van Pelt, Gerard Mayo, Elliott Wolf all thought Jacoby Brissett's floor was going to be a lot higher than it is. And he has not looked good. And the preseason games, but even at camp, it seems like it's gotten worse, right? Like his best days, according to all the people that are down there, were early. And that's where there was more of a gap between him and Maye. So he's gotten worse as the season has approached. Drake Maye's gotten better. And then, of course, when you factor in, I don't know, one guy you're hoping is the future of the team, like that should be kind of a tiebreaker to me. But yeah, I think not only has Drake Maye done enough, I think Jacoby Brissett has helped speed up that process.
So I don't like the take that it's just about Drake Maye. It has nothing to do with Jacoby Brissett. It's all about Maye and his timeline. I don't like that take. I don't agree with that take. I agree that Jacoby Brissett and how he plays is very, very relevant. You have a roster full of guys whose livelihood is at stake, who care about this season. And if Jacoby Brissett looks like garbage, and he might not be hurt, he might be hurt. He had a great throw last night that KJ Osborne should have reeled in. And so I'm not telling you it's been all bad from Brissett.
KJ Osborne, by the way, that was bad.
Oh, that drop?
What was he doing? He put one hand up.
He also had a touchdown last night.
Okay.
That I'm choosing to count for Drake Maye. But, yeah, what was he doing?
I don't know what he was doing. Like, and he could have put 2 hands up. It wasn't that far away from him. And he just kind of throws one hand up.
Rich Keefe at Hobart makes that catch?
Makes that catch if he gets on the field. Didn't play as much as he
Rich Keefe at St. Paul's.
St. Paul School would have made that play.
Rich Keefe at St. Paul's.
Little catch and run on that, maybe.
Yeah, nice.
Little extras to go. But yeah, that was frustrating. I'm like, I don't want to see any more KJ Osborne. That's a side topic. It's all about the quarterbacks. We're going to get into the offensive line. But when you look at the wide receiver room, what does KJ Osborne bring to the table? Let me see some of these younger guys play, right? I'd rather see the rookies or the second-year guys. I don't need to see KJ Osborne.
Yeah, so the throw to Osborne was a good one. So I don't want to say it was all bad from Brissett, but largely it didn't look great. His first play was a mess last night. He gets the crap knocked out of him. He gets hurt.
He got stuck.
He's been outplayed. And to your point, Drake Maye's outplaying him when it matters most. Like, fine. Brissett was better in May. He's a 10-year NFL vet, 9-year NFL vet, whatever he is.
I would hope he's a little bit past where May is.
He should be better in the month of May.
Yep.
M-A-Y, not M-A-Y-E.
Very confusing.
Or June. That makes sense. He's been in the league for a while. Drake Maye just got here. But now that May's been here and been in the playbook, knows the roster, is learning the league to a degree, he's outperforming him. So he absolutely should get the job. I don't know if he's going to get the job. The more I hear from Gerard Mayo with Greg, the more I hear from Gerard Mayo post-game last night, I don't think he's going to get the job, but he should. He's outplaying a guy who's been here, meaning in the NFL, for 9 years. It already looks like he's better. So he has a much higher ceiling. We know that. It should continue to get better throughout the course of the year. I find that frustrating, and I do go back to earlier this offseason where they wasted a week to get out there on the practice field. They took a day at minicamp. Great cause for community service, but you have to do that in the middle of minicamp. There's a lot of days you can do community service.
Now's the time.
They played Drake Maye one series in the first preseason. Like, I look back and I go, they didn't want to get him ready. They didn't want a competition. And you wonder who it's really up to. I know you don't think it's actually even up to Mayo.
No, it's not up to Mayo. And he even said so as much. Like, as soon as you start talking about, like, a collaboration, you start naming guys. Like, he, at one point, was like, it's going to be up to, like, me, Van Pelt, Elliott Wolf, the offensive guys. You're like, wait a minute. Like, he couldn't even name all the people that have a say in who's going to start week 1. Like, that part was crazy to me. So the head coach doesn't have full say. I'm sure he has a seat at the table, which is nice. The small council, or maybe large council.
I would hope. It's like the meeting of the families. He gets a table there.
He gets one, but he only gets like 15% of the vote is what Gerard Mayo is saying. But, yeah, that part is frustrating to me because it feels like if he doesn't start week 1, was he going to start week 2 or 3? Like, he's ready to start week 2 or 3 because it feels like it could go down that same road of hey, Josh Allen's not going to start week 1. We're going to start Nathan Peterman. Like, Nathan Peterman? And then Justin Herbert's not going to start right away. We're going to start Tyrod Taylor. And I know that had the screwy one where he got hurt by the trainer. But still, like, those guys are both really more backup quarterbacks that were in front of them.
Yeah.
And they're like, hey, let's wait to get our project rookie quarterback in. It's like, why? So you're telling me he's going to be ready the 3rd week in September, but not the 1st week in September? Like, how is that the case?
Number one, the teams were both wrong about those guys.
They were.
Allen could play, and Herbert really could play as a rookie. You know, so like both those teams were just wrong. They thought they had a plan. They thought they knew. Peterman was terrible, got benched week 1. Allen started week 2. Tyrod Taylor got stabbed in the lung.
Yeah.
No fault of his own. Herbert had to get thrown out there.
It feels like the same thing could play out where Brissett goes out there, limps through 2 poor games, and then and you're like, so what was the holdup?
But I agree with what you were just saying. So you think he might be ready for week 5 or 6. A lot of people have those weeks circled. It's Miami and who is week 6? I forgot off the top of my head. But you look at their schedule and you go, the Texans. He'll be ready by week 6. Well, why?
Play week 1.
If he's ready by week 5,
like,
I would lean in on week 1.
Yeah.
And furthermore, I saw a lot of this from the beat writers last night. Oh, well, you can't. This is why you can't play Drake Maye behind this offensive line, which was a disaster last night. I'm not Mr. Offensive Line. But the offensive line was so bad. I get it. That was embarrassing. That was a debacle.
Also, one thing we've taken for granted.
You might get him killed.
The one thing I think we've taken for granted is
not great, Bob.
It was not great at all.
The center quarterback exchange. We take it for granted.
Yeah.
It's a lot harder to snap the ball between your legs into the hands of another person. Apparently,
is it though?
Well, last night it was.
Because
balls on the ground, balls on the like it's terrible.
I'm positive I could maybe not block.
You couldn't snap.
No. But listen,
you think you're a snapper
just listen to
now?
me.
Okay.
I'm saying I could not take off Drake Maye's shoe. I could get the footing down
Maybe.
where I wouldn't be stepping on his feet.
You would get. Well, there was also that one play where Drake Maye almost got sacked on a running play because the center got pushed into his lap on that play. So that might have been you. You might have been a successful snap.
Yeah.
And then
I didn't say I didn't say I'd got it well blocking.
So if they couldn't touch
you,
you,
I would snap and then I wouldn't step on Drake Maye.
What about long snap?
I could do those 2
things. A little bit. That's a skill. That's a skill that's not easily done, and we also take that for granted.
I'm going to say yes.
Short snap to the field goal kicker or long snap to the punter? They're 2 different snaps, 2 different lengths.
Field goal kicker.
You could do that?
Yeah.
I think that sounds like a challenge, Laney. I think we're going to have to set that up in the parking lot.
All right, day one. What do you think, Laney?
So.
Yeah? Thumbs up in the
Jones,
back.
the long snapper, short snapper?
Done.
Possible?
Easy. I'm going to have to wear a wavy shirt. I don't want to see my problem areas.
But that has been the biggest argument for Brissett that I've heard so far over the last few weeks, because you're like, first of all, like entertainment value, it's not even close. It's not up for debate. Drake Maye would be the guy. For development, people are of different camps because they'll point to some of the good quarterbacks that sat.
Yeah.
But you can point to as many young rookie quarterbacks that played and were good. But one of the arguments that keeps coming back is he's going to get hurt. He's going to get hurt. And so last night, Jacoby Brissett did get hurt. So my also thought on that is if the offensive line's so bad, you got to look to Elliott Wolf as to why you didn't get a better offensive line. But if that's your number one fear, isn't he going to play anyway? If you think the offensive line is so bad that Drake Maye's going to get hurt, let me tell you something. Jacoby Brissett also going to get hurt. Bailey Zappi going to get hurt. Joe Milton going to get hurt. You're going to see all these guys anyway. So Drake Maye at least can elude the rush a little bit with his athletic ability. You saw a nice run last night. That I think that's your way to go.
So I agree with that. Drake Maye has a better chance of surviving behind this offensive line than Jacoby Brissett, just based on his mobility and size to a degree, athleticism, all those things. But if you are one of these beat writers, this is why you can't play Drake Maye. They're stepping on him.
Lecture me.
Penalties. Yeah, first of all, I don't appreciate the lecture.
Like that.
I don't appreciate it. And second of all, it's not going to get better.
No.
Unless you believe the nonsense Mayo said this morning about the waiver claim and they're about to find their left tackle. Not with the first claim, not with the second claim, but with the third claim.
It's like your buddy who's 3-6 in fantasy. He's like, well, at least I got the top waiver. Like,
I'll turn it around with my waiver claim.
Yeah.
So, that's not going to get better.
No.
If anything,
the waiver wire.
Thank you.
The waiver wire.
Yeah, the waiver wire. If anything, it might get worse.
Who's on the waiver wire? Also, stop there for a second. Who's on the waiver wire?
Well, the beauty is we don't know yet, Keefe. Cutdown day hasn't happened yet.
That's true.
You know?
Somebody else's scraps. He's going to start. We're going to have 2 offensive linemen starting that are going to get cut by their current team.
See, on one hand, I want to mock it. On the other hand, I'm like,
maybe.
You were planning on starting Vidarian Lowe, so maybe.
That's true.
Maybe.
Now, the offensive line should be a little bit better than it was last night because David Andrews didn't play.
Correct.
And there was a big issue with the QB center exchange. So that should get cleaned up.
Mm-hmm.
It's amazing to me, and I know Vidarian Lowe is really bad, but they were working with some new combinations recently that, like, you have Onwenu and you paid Onwenu, and everybody likes Andrews, and then City So, I know he also got banged up.
Yeah, not great.
But, like, if 3/5 of your offensive line is good, is like average to good, you're still terrified to put any quarterback back there? Like, that's can't be good.
No, and it's not going to get better.
No.
Onwenu could get hurt. Andrews could get hurt. And if those guys aren't out there,
we're all day to day.
It's going to look terrible. And so if you're really genuinely afraid of playing Drake Maye behind the offensive line, that means you can't play him at all this year. And I don't hear a lot of that. I hear, well, you can't start him week 1, but he might be ready week 5 or 6, or maybe you can get him in somewhere around the bye week, which is way too late for me.
I respect the sit the whole year more than I respect sit him a month.
Me too.
Yeah.
Because at least you're saying he needs to develop, A, and you need to protect him, B. That feels consistent.
It's a long year for us, though, if he doesn't play.
Well, not great.
It's a long year.
Not great. But if you're doing it because you want to protect him or you need to develop him, those to me are good reasons. If you're doing it because you want to protect him for a month, you're still putting him behind this O-line for 3 months.
Yeah, like
that doesn't make sense to me.
No, and it's not like you have a guy coming back from injury. Like, say David Andrews wasn't playing.
Yep.
And you're like, well, in a month, David Andrews will be back. Okay, like maybe that's your argument. But it's like the offensive line week 5 could also be the offensive line week 1 and like week 10. Like right now, like we'll see how the waiver wire pans out. But it seems like your guys are either here or it's not definitely getting better.
No,
like Logan Mankins is coming back week 11. Like that's a different story.
Right. That would be a big boost.
Yes,
I take Logan Mankins right now.
I guarantee you he could give you some snaps.
Probably in shape.
He played with a torn ACL for a whole season.
Yeah, he was like farming and stuff. He's probably in shape.
Oh yeah, farm muscles.
Yeah,
sure.
Right.
Yeah,
like
just lifting hay. Hay's heavy. Like you're like, hay's not heavy.
It's baling hay.
Baling hay.
Yeah.
I don't know the parlance.
Yeah. I'm not a farm guy either.
No.
It's baling hay as well.
We're a couple of indoor cats is how I'd refer to us.
So I look at the first month of the schedule. It's another thing too.
It's tough.
Okay, but
the whole season's tough.
But what's tough about it? I don't really think it's
the opponents.
I don't think it's the defenses necessarily though. So
gotcha. New York's defense is good.
New York's defense is good, but that should be a close game. So like I'm not afraid.
You think it's gonna be a close game?
The Jets?
Why?
I don't think the Jets are good.
Really?
Yeah.
Is Rodgers playing in this scenario?
Yes.
And Garrett Wilson and Breece Hall?
Yeah, well, those guys are good.
Okay.
You think Rodgers is good?
I do.
He hasn't played. He played poorly 2 years ago. He was hurt last year.
He's a gamer. I think he's good.
I
like his philosophies on life. He's the guy that I can relate to.
Jets defense is good. The game doesn't concern me.
Okay.
Cincinnati and Seattle, those are not good defenses. The Niners, I get. If you're like, the Niners are terrifying, that one I get. The other 3, I don't find that daunting. I guess you're higher on the Jets than me.
Yeah.
So I don't think the start to the schedule is that daunting. And
I just don't know how many like super close games. Now I know football, like the nature of it. I mean, you see the spreads every week, and it's like 3 to 6 points. So like they assume there's a lot of close games, but going into it, like, I think it's going to be a slog. Like it's going to be tough going no matter what. Because even if the offense is a disaster, we also don't really know just how good the defense is. Because like a few weeks ago, people were like, this defense is going to be good. And then Christian Barmore goes down. They trade Judon. So you're like, oh, like maybe they're not going to be as good.
Right.
Because all those teams, with the exception of Seattle, like those are good offenses. So like you're going to have to score a lot of points just to make it close.
Yeah, no, so the Bengals, they shouldn't beat the Bengals, but that defense wouldn't intimidate me from playing Drake Maye.
Yep.
Is my only point.
No.